Hello, I'm Karen Speckles, Senior Vice President of Strategic Solutions for Inte Q, and I'll be the moderator for today's webinar. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to our Experts Insights webinar, Identifying Wasted Media Dollars, How to Optimize Your Digital Spend, presented by Matt Butler from Bonsai Data Solutions. Before we get started, a quick note about the audio portion of this presentation. Today's webinar will be conducted in listen-only mode to minimize any distractions or background noise. The webinar audio is accessible through computer speakers only. I'd like to take a moment to discuss some of the tools on the control panel we'll be using today. The first is the hand icon. At certain times during today's webinar, our presenter may ask for participation and ask you to raise your hand. You may do so by clicking on this icon. I'd like to go ahead and confirm that the audio is working, so if you can hear me, please click on the hand icon to raise your hand. I'll give you just a minute to do so. Okay, great. Thanks for the confirmation. Last feature I'd like to point out is the question box. Please submit any questions you have during the webinar here. You may submit questions at any time, and we will send out a question and answer summary to everyone after the webinar is over. At this time, I'd like to introduce today's presenter. As a founding member of Google's analyst organization, Matt Butler has served the retail, consumer goods, restaurants, travel, and finance industries for more than 14 years. He has strategically planned billions in digital marketing investments and realized impressive returns. Matt served as Google's exclusive digital analytics advisor for more than 40 Fortune 500 companies, including Procter Gamble, Coca-Cola, Sears, Kohl, State Farm, Best Buy, and more. While at Google, Matt designed and shared the digital ad auction curricula for Google's global analytics teams and served as a panelist and keynote speaker at dozens of academic events and industry conferences. Matt co-founded Bonsai Data Solutions in 2020, helping companies transform into resilient and self-sufficient data-driven organizations. With that, I'd like to turn it over to our presenter, and we hope you enjoyed today's presentation. Matt?
Thanks so much, Karen. Thank you all for coming on the webinar today. First and foremost, my co-founder, Mike Remke, and I are really excited and happy that you're here. We also know that there's a ton of very important things going on in the world today, and they're far more important than our presentation, and so we support those who are there and those who, we can reach another time. We're really excited to have that opportunity as well. Just to kind of cover the agenda, so we want to share a few real-world examples about how wasted media and marketing technology leads to issues with your strategy as well as poor customer experience. Share some examples of how MarTech overlap plays a role. Talk about how privacy and first-party data play into this conversation, and then share a little bit about how we evaluate and streamline your marketing technology stack. But before we go through some of the mechanics, we wanted to share an anecdote. So at Bonsai, we do marketing technology, architecture designs, consultations, and recommendations. So we're a huge fan and a super user of Lucid Charts. On the screen here, I put a snippet of our logged in experience, and then, but below that, even when we're working on a deliverable for a customer, we invariably get ads to sign up for Lucid Charts, say on another tab on our computer. And I guess if you have a chance to use the hand raise feature on your screen, indicate with the hand raise, does this experience ever happen to you? See a few hands. So I think this is a fairly common experience, especially with your with companies that you are very loyal to and love. And so we don't mean to pick on Lucid Chart. We just thought it was a great example of how marketing technology overlap creates unintended consequences and waste, even when the firms are savvy digital marketers. You could have this issue of an ad to acquire a loyal customer, That could happen even if you're doing everything right. Even if your practitioners are doing everything and every best practice within an ad platform, this could still be happening. I want to talk a little bit about how that is true. Let's think about from the perspective of our prospective and current customers. As you all know, as we all live, we have digital interactions throughout our day, from the email we read to the news sites that we check, videos that we watch on television, and social networks and websites that we visit. These are thousands of potential digital touch points that we have. And if we think about all of that in sort of one big pool or one big sphere, those are all the opportunities your business has to reach your potential and current customers. As marketers, we use technology to efficiently reach these customers across this large pool of touch points. For instance, you might use Google's marketing platform, which allows you to reach a vast majority of these touch points across the web, mobile, search, social, and many others. But some of the touch points aren't available through the Google marketing platform's network. So for instance, there could be experiences on another publisher where Google's network doesn't have reach. Say someone who spends a large majority of their time on Instagram or a competing search engine, or uses tools from another operating system with their mobile phone. So as a marketer, you turn to other platforms, like in this case, let's say Facebook, because they have access to incremental touch points, new reach, and that unlocks potential to grow your customer acquisitions. Much of the opportunity that Facebook delivers is incremental, but a lot of it is also available from what you were reaching through the Google marketing platform. So while you increase your overall reach, you introduce the opportunity to have overlapping marketing efforts from these platforms without strategic planning. Also, a great majority of the customers can be reached through two large networks like Google and Facebook. There are still parts of the digital journey that are not available and fall through the cracks. So in reality, as a marketer, you're not using just two ad networks or platforms. You're using 1, 2, 3, or multiple ad technologies. So multiple ad networks, demand-side platforms, and other tools help you reach a broader pool of these digital touch points. But because there's so many tools in your strategy, even when those tools have connectivity and data sharing to mitigate some of the overlap and siloed data, unintended issues and unintended overlap does still occur, because not all of these marketing technology platforms are able to talk to each other in the way they need to. This leads to media investments and impressions served that overlap customers in unintended ways. And the other aspect of this that's challenging is that as your teams or practitioners are deploying your marketing campaigns through these tools, when they're working within one of these individual platforms, they can be doing everything right, and they won't be privy to these overlap and waste issues. Let's connect this to the real world example. So if you think about the Lucid chart example, where we're the loyal customer and we're still seeing these ads to be acquired to sign up for their service. So let's call them ACME for now. Let's say that they acquired Bonsai as a customer after we came to their website and signed up for their service. So ACME, let's say, is using 3 ad networks to market to us: a yellow ad network, red, and blue. If we interact with an ACME ad in part of the digital journey that's covered by blue, red, or sort of the white uncovered aspects of our digital journey, it's likely that the yellow ad network has no record of us converting and becoming an ACME customer. This is true even if, as you see in the example, they've served us a cookie when we visited the website. So that means when we are interacting on the parts of our digital journey that are covered by the yellow ad network, we could be seeing ACME customer acquisition advertising, for instance, the Sign Up Today ad, when in reality, we should be receiving a loyalty offer or be given a cross-selling opportunity. Two additional negative outcomes occur when we're interacting on the web, where all three of these overlapping networks have access to customer touchpoints. Let's talk about the first example. So here you see in the diagram the same journey, and then as the user, I go to either site A or site B after I've interacted on ACME's website. On site A, we're on a site where a publisher is accepting ads from all three of the ad networks, and they're soliciting ACME's bids, and those bids are put into the programmatic auction to serve us an impression. Well, having three networks competing to show might ensure that ACME shows us an ad in lieu of competition or other ads. It's also true that this competition between ourselves to show and through these networks is unnecessary, and that can lead to increased CPMs and other issues. Site B is a different example, where again they're accepting ads from all three networks. All three networks collected data on me as an ACME visitor, and ACME is now trying to reach me as a customer. Now there's three ad slots on the page. So site B serves not just one ad to me, but serves a unique ad from each network in three different ad slots. So now as a customer, I'm being bombarded with ACME ads, and ACME is paying for three impressions to me, the same person, when they're trying to just reach me in individual time. Can you take your third-party marketing ecosystem and optimize it across platforms and technologies? Yes. So here's two examples of how to do that. First, you might be able to identify an ad network or platform that, given your existing media footprint, offers very little incremental reach, has high overlap with other providers, and is generating an outsized portion of unintended media waste. So eliminating those from your mix can allow you to retain all your current customer acquisition potential with less media waste. Another example involves managing which publishers and services you deploy for each third-party ad platform. For instance, you might be able to exclude all websites owned by a particular publisher because you are able to reach customers for that publisher more effectively through their owned and operated ad network. There's issues and strategies we should explore beyond just these tactical examples. I want to bring our co-founder, Mike Remke, in now to discuss how data and privacy risk plays a part in this conversation across your marketing technology ecosystem.
Okay, thank you very much, Matt. Okay, let's discuss some different types of data privacy risks that are currently in play within the current marketing ecosystem. So we're coming back to this image to discuss some data risk. Let's say you're the CTO of ACME Incorporated. You come into the office one morning and see an email from a customer explaining how they are formally withdrawing their consent and request that all their personal information be deleted. Now, by a show of hands, how many of you can guarantee that you could fulfill this request and ensure that their data has been permanently removed? Give everybody a second. Okay, not a lot. A few other questions to consider here. Do you know the locations of their data and backups? Do you know which third parties also have any of this data? How quickly can you find it and have verification that it has been deleted? Per GDPR, anyone whose data you control has the right to be forgotten. Having control and oversight over all this data is now a critical business operation, and it needs to be handled with care. Okay, let's look at your technology stack from a different view now. ACME is cruising along its normal business routes, collecting customer data along the way. The hull of the ship is made of your technology stack. Cookies are firing, your first-party data warehouse is growing, and you're using it effectively to grow your business. Life is good. Every third party that is part of your tech stack is your partner and is helping to keep your boat and business afloat. You have built processes around some of these partners, and they are integral to your current business practices. So from a data risk perspective, these same partners are all potential leaks in your boat. You're responsible for this customer data and where it goes, even after it leaves your hands. If you're not sure how many hands your customer data goes through now, what are the odds of you controlling a leak if it does occur? The cost of these leaks can be immense. It is not only a hit to your brand and image, but now can also potentially carry serious financial penalties. In just a few weeks, on July 1st, unless a delay occurs, CCPA will be enforceable. For each consumer impacted by CCPA non-compliance, organizations stand to face up to $750 in civil damages per consumer. For businesses affected by GDPR, the penalties can cost up to 4% of the company's global annual revenue. The bottom line is that redundant functionality and data collection in your processes increases your exposure to CCPA and GDPR risks and the host of unsavory consequences that come with them. There's no way to mitigate every risk, but there are some potential quick wins that you can take advantage of now to reduce your exposure. Asking yourself a few questions about your existing tech stack is a great place to start. Do you have a process for promptly handling data requests? Do you have redundant data collection? Who has data on your customers? Did you get explicit consent for that data? Do you have a process for classifying and labeling sensitive data? If the privacy risks are not enough to move your company away from relying on third-party data, the industry is moving us there anyway. With the recent updates from Firefox and Safari and coming changes from Chrome, third-party cookies in their current form will be a thing of the past. As the third-party data ecosystem continues to contract, the future-proof solution is to increase the effectiveness and utilization of your first-party data. Let's walk through a customer experience again from ACME, this time with the third parties removed. The ACME prospect will now have a cookie collecting first-party information from your ACME data warehouse. The ad networks will utilize the data that you own and control to best serve the best possible audiences without including any third parties. So achieving this requires an increased focus on fully utilizing the first-party databases that you probably already have and reducing your reliance on a complicated web of third-party partners. Now, this is certainly not a sprint, but it is a journey well worth taking as it will increase the capability of your team, protect your customers' information, and future-proof your business. Likely you are aware of some of the risks and waste that we've discussed so far, but where to begin? We should start at self-reflection, and in this case, an audit. Matt?
Thanks, Mike. And I should mention, if you have questions about some of these points, as we bring them up, definitely submit the questions. We're going to be able to address these after the webinar with some of the materials that will be shared. Let's talk about what Mike mentioned, which is the first step being looking at your current stack and situation. And we want to walk through an example of how we're doing this right now with Bonsai. So we're keeping with ACME, and we're looking at our data risk assessment. And the first step in the process, as we look through this particular example, is to assess ACME's third-party and other technology data from a high level. What technologies does ACME partner with? What data are being collected, and how does this align to the standards within the industry? So for example, we're able to assess for this client ACME that we see that there's 22 unique marketing technologies being deployed, and 20 of them have third-party data collected. This is for prospective or current customers. We see that the technology that they've deployed does in fact have redundant features and capabilities. So one or more of these tools kind of do similar things. And we're able to see that a number of the third-party data collection is actually in excess of ACME's peers in their industry, in this case by over 50%. Now that we know how many partners ACME marketing relies on, we then say, what types of data are those partners collecting, and what do these technologies actually do? Are they serving discrete and necessary purposes? And so what we do is we break down that technology into the critical things. How many ad networks? How many tools are used for ad measurement or analytics? Audience information, intermediaries, data onboarders, or other functional tools like tag management or asset analytics. In this example, you see the 22 tools are broken into 13 ad networks, The majority of the tools produce some sort of analytics or measurement. 7 of them are used to collect and connect audience data or onboard that to other tools. They have a tag management service and 2 demand-side platforms. Once we know what tech is doing what, we can dive into deeper questions. Which companies are collecting and are connecting data about ACME customers through the ad networks, demand-side platforms, or other owned and operated inventory from those third parties? Here we can see ACME has multiple third parties collecting audience data. And combined with their ad networks, they can reach over 86% of potential customer touchpoints, which is great. That's a huge digital footprint. And it allows ACME to have a potentially high ability to reach potential and convert customers. However, these partners have overlapping reach and inconsistent data connectivity. And those 2 things lead to media waste potential, in this case, upwards of 68 to 70%. What that means is that, not to say that ACME's media has been wasted exactly 68% of the time, but the conditions are possible to where that percentage of ACME's media touchpoints, if executed without curation and care, could be duplicative or overpriced within their current marketing technology deployment. Next, we dive into the best practices. Here we're looking at the data that ACME is collecting on its customers through these third parties. We can see that ACME's customers don't give explicit consent to collect that data. ACME isn't currently using consent management platform or providing users the opportunity to declare their interest in having the data collected. This is a best practice, and things like CCPA and GDPR will be emphasizing and looking for those practices when they're looking to evaluate you against the criteria of giving customers the opportunity for a clear and coherent opt-out. We are also looking to see if any of the third-party data being collected isn't actively serving functionality at all. We've seen in real-life cases and in this example that there's technology and data being collected for tools that aren't active anymore. And so eliminating these holes, third-party data collection without any material business impact today, as an easy place to reduce waste and risk, and they also increase customer experience. Finally, when you look at the reporting that could come out of these marketing technology deployments, we want to analyze them and give users a quick and easy way to understand how they should be thinking about the analytics and reporting they get from each one of their platforms. Here we're breaking down ACME's tech vendors and the reports that they produce and breaking them down into ad analytics, platform and audience analytics, or site and asset analytics. Here you can see what data is within scope for these classifications, and then what are things that you should avoid doing, right? What are the do's and don'ts for using reports from each one of these platforms to achieve favorable outcomes and improve customer experience across your marketing strategy. With that, I'll hand it back to Karen, and thank everyone for your questions and participation in today's webinar.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you, participants, for joining us today. If you're interested in uncovering wasted media spend within your business, please reach out to me, Karen Speckles, about Inte Q's digital advertising audit. Inte Q, in conjunction with Bonsai Data Solutions, will provide insights to help you save on advertising without sacrificing your acquisition goals. We will help you improve spending efficiencies across your third-party advertising platform partnerships. We uncover where you may be unintentionally reaching the same people multiple times and wasting your valuable advertising budget. Regarding today's presentation, be on the lookout for an email that includes the slides presented today, a link to a recording of today's webinar, and the questions that were submitted along with Matt's answers. Thank you again for your attendance, and have a great afternoon.